if obviously, if there's any kind of good that can come out of this, but something that was pretty much overwhelming was when Noah's Rebbe, when Noah took a couple days off because of the incident. That's what we're calling it, the incident. And Noah's Rebbe in Yeshiva South Shore said, Noah's back. He went out with his own money and said, we're going to have a little seudah hoda, and Noah came back okay. And that prompted, he had little zeppelis and whatever. And it was nice, and there was a big simcha in class because Noah came back. And that prompted Mia to ask, and was granted, that they did seudah hodas in each of the classes of all the other kids. And so each of the girls wrote their own little essays, and each one was overwhelming in its own right. And I'm not going to have them all say it, but I would like Naomi to share her thoughts on what this meant to her. So I'd like to call my hoda. The newly driving license, Naomi.
So like my dad said, we had a seudah hoda in my school a few weeks ago. I wrote a speech, and I was talking to my friends, my classmates, people I see every day, and I was just talking to them, and not really reading my speech, I started talking to my heart, and it meant a lot, and it helped sort of get over the hump and just get back to everyday regular life. So now I have this new speech, and it's a totally different feeling standing in front of people, a lot older than me, and I feel like I can't really say this. Who am I to just sort of read the same speech? But I just sort of feel like the things that I went through and the experiences I have, thank God nobody else in here, except for my family, has those experiences, and for me to share and tell you what I got out of it will sort of help you get over your things and feelings as well. So I think a week and a half ago, there was a terrible rainstorm, thunder, lightning, in the middle of the night, and I woke up and my bed faces the window. So we had these paper shades, and the light that was reflecting off of the street lamp was glowy orange red, and through my shade it sort of looked like fire. And then added onto that was the wind that was howling, and that I don't know if you've ever heard what a fire sounds like in its huge, terrible, ferocious, terrible ferocity. It sounds like rushing wind. It sounds like yelling animals. It's a terrible sound. And the sound that I heard from the wind and the light that I saw from the street light really made me think there was fire. I got out of my bed, I looked outside for 5 to 10 minutes. I was searching, where is that fire, where is it? And thank God there was none. I could not fall back asleep because my life has changed forever now. Now, a thunderstorm is not going to just be a thunderstorm, and walking down Maple Street and seeing that plot of land at 331 is not just walking down the street and seeing my house anymore. My life's changed. Things are different now, and I'm a different person now. But that doesn't mean necessarily that things are bad or things are my life hasn't fallen apart. Even though I'm sort of crying now, it doesn't mean I'm falling apart either. So people hear this crazy thing and they're like, oh my God, that's terrible. How are you doing? And people are so shocked because these things really don't happen, And they happen now, but generally they don't. So it's not easy, but it's not unmanageable because we are managing. We're getting through it, and every day is better. Every day I think about it less, and every day it's still there. And I'm not going to lie and tell you that it's gone, but it's better. And so one of the first things I've learned is that if you want to manage, you'll manage. If you want to fall down and cry and be depressed and sad and broken over something like a house, you can do that too, but it's not a healthy way to go about it. If you want to be strong and have a good attitude, and yes, be sad sometimes because it is a sad thing, you get to choose how you want to live your life. And my family has decided, not sitting down to a family meeting and deciding this is how we're going to go, but unquestionably, obviously, duh, there's no other way to do it. This is how we are going to live our lives after this. there's no other choice. There's no other way to live our lives. We're not going to go around and be depressed and sad about stuff. That's it. We have our lives, and that's what's important. And so so that's the first thing that I learned, that it's in your hands. You get to choose. You get to change your life based on the things that happen to you. And so if you have that positive attitude and you have that perspective on life, then you see the best in every situation. You see that it's all from God, and that no matter what, it's good, because Gam Zela Tova and Hodu Hashem Ki Tov. Everything is good. Everything comes from God, and there's no other answer. So the second thing is that God does everything, and that yes, my family had that big miracle. We have our lives, but it's the small things that make you notice and make you realize that God is still really there. That 2 months after the fire, that God is still there, and that He's watching you and He's getting you through this. And so even though, yeah, things are hard, and I don't have, the stuff that I used to have, and I don't have my room, and I don't have all these things, we do have stuff. We have the Horowitz's house, and we have the Bluth's house, and we have the 8-passenger car. We have, I have my Chumash notes that, were in the house, but weren't. They were supposed to be, but they weren't. All these little things that I can't really explain are there, and I have them. And even, it's very hard to explain. But you can look at these things and you can say well, the house is not really big enough, you have 6 kids, how are 4 bedrooms enough? You can look at the car and say, okay, it's a car, but it's not really, the heating is an issue. You can say all these things, and you can say, yeah, you have your Chumash notes, but what about the other 4 sets of notes that you lost? You can look at them and you can say, yeah, it's terrible, or you can look at them and say, yeah, wait, that's good, I have them. So the second thing that I have, that I took out of this, is that the huge miracles are rare, and while they do happen, they're not something that you can really base your whole life off of. That you have to look at the small things, and you have to notice them more and give them attention, because that's what will really get you through this. And so that brings me to the third thing, that all these little things that God has given us, a lot of them have come through other people. They come through messengers that can only be sent from God. Communities all over the place. West Hempstead, first and foremost, the 5 towns in general, even as far as Muncie, Teaneck, all these places have people calling us, people sending stuff, and I can't even explain how much it has meant to us. And so for one of the first times I think in a long time, my family has had to learn how to take from other people. And as easy as you might think it sounds, it's really not, because taking means that you are lacking, that you're vulnerable, and that you need it. Because if you weren't vulnerable, that means you'd be strong, and that you can give, and that you don't need to take. But because we needed to take, it taught us how we are supposed to give. Sort of a twisted way of thinking about it, but if you're forced to take, you see what it's like to be on the taking end, and you learn how to give to others. And so that's taught me a lot. That I think I learned in one of my classes in school. We read my father mentioned, also talking about giving and taking. That when you give to someone, you form a relationship. That what comes first, the relationship or the giving? It's a good question, because if you give to someone, you form a relationship, but will you give to someone you don't have a relationship with? But now I feel as if I have a relationship with every single person in this room, even if I don't even know your name, that you could be friends with my parents or friends with my grandparents, not necessarily someone I've met before, but now I have a relationship with you because you have given to me, and you have given to my family, and that forces us to have a relationship, because you wouldn't give to us if you didn't love us. And that giving, when you give to someone, you form a bond, and you form that love between 2 people that can only be expressed as real, true love. So that was the third thing. Teaching me how to give and how to take when you have to, when you have no other choice. So we were forced to take because we had nothing. The night of the fire, I had my pair of sweatpants, a t-shirt, and sweatshirt. I had socks at one point, not sure what happened to those. But it taught me also, these earrings that I'm wearing now, and I don't think I'll ever take them off again. But we lost everything. everything. All the stuff that we had is gone. And that taught me the fourth lesson. The materialistic stuff, there's no other words for it, can be lost in a matter of seconds. The amount of time it takes for your house to burn to the ground, the amount of time it takes for a car accident, anything that causes stuff, a car, a house, clothing, shoes, anything can be lost. And so we need to start focusing less on the material stuff that